we will do together the presentation of the best practices guide. The theme is very complex, and we managed to synthesize and to make it very friendly. You will see the guide is so friendly, the friendliest guide I ever saw. And we will talk about very short about the methodology, about this main chapter that is urban transformation and co-production. Then our partners will talk about the financial sustainability and business models, especially from Friche la Belle-de-Mai, which is the most complex model that we studied. Then we will talk a bit about the participatory governance models, and at the end Elizabeth will walk us through the skills for the skills metrics for participatory governance. Very interesting conclusion of the project. And at the end of the first part, we will watch a very short movie, which is one of the products of the project. It summarizes the project, in fact. Then we will have a short coffee break, and in the second part, we will have a more informal gathering, a round table, where we will make a further step into building a community of practice around these complex subjects. Then we close and wrap up, and we will have lunch together. So thank you for your very good energy for the next hours, and we can go further to. I will make this short introduction. So a few words about the context. So we all know that in the contemporary landscape of the post-industrial cities, revitalization is a lot more than a modernization of buildings, in fact. So now, as you can see here, and in plenty of examples, former industrial sites are transformed into these ecosystems and into these dynamic platforms for artistic, cultural, and heritage expression. So our project, Co-Gov project, had a scope to strengthen skills and knowledge related to sustainable participatory governance. Do you hear me well? Yes? Okay. But it's applied to vacant spaces that are transformed into creative hubs or third places, these kind of hybrid spaces. Yes. So our goal was to make this reflection, to foster reflection of on the shared obstacles, because there are a lot of obstacles and challenges in these hybrid spaces. And we identified plenty of key principles, success factors, we will see further on, and the next steps needed to develop participatory governance in existing or emerging creative centers. The project objectives were the following. First of all, to support the development of professionals and decision makers' competencies in co-creating and co-governing cultural and creative spaces. We all know that in Bucharest we need to make a lot of steps further for this, yes. Then the second objective is to encourage, of course, the exchange of knowledge and transfer of know-how between Romania and France. And that was an amazing experience. The third objective was to create tools and policy recommendations, we will see later further on, for supporting urban cultural systems, ecosystems. And the last one was to facilitate dialogue among the stakeholders, the key stakeholders involved in the sustainable transformation of cities. And I would say we achieved all of them. So the project took place for over a year and included a series of thematic workshops, co-creation sessions, questionnaires and expert interviews, complemented by this beautiful study visit to Marseille. Okay. Yeah, you see here some pictures. The workshops were held in Bucharest, in Marseille, and in hybrid format. and we brought together overall over 45 experts and representatives from public institutions, cultural operators, and civic initiatives. Okay, and just a few words about the study visit for those, because there are some of you that were with us. So we went in this study visit together with the representatives from the City Hall, from Bucharest local administration, and we explored financing and governance models applied in la Friche la Belle-de-Mai, first of all, then la Citadelle, le Talus, Cité des Arts de la Rue, l'ICA. So these spaces, as you saw, and but you can also check the news on Nod Makerspace, and you will see plenty of information regarding all these moments. So these spaces stand out for the diversity of their governance models, and their emphasis on collective intelligence, and also we need to emphasize this: their strong partnerships developed at local, regional, and national levels. You will see from Johan's presentation how complex and on all levels the partnership is done there. So the visit highlighted the functional ecosystem that acknowledges the role of creative communities in addressing complex urban themes such as social inclusion, lifelong learning, building revitalization, placemaking, community development, local tourist promotion, city identity, and migrant integration. So, yes, last but not least, and then I will finalize, the guide is the guide that you have on your table is the main result of this project, and it represents the consolidated outcome of workshops, study visits, and co-creation sessions. It serves as a practical reference tool for professionals involved in transforming and managing cultural creative spaces. And the publication documents good practices tailored to the collectively identified challenges, again outlining core principles, success factors, identified risks for co-governance and financial sustainability. And of course, at the end, dreams and nightmares of governance. So yeah, I will pass on the mic to Johan, and I invite you to tell us about la Friche la Belle-de-Mai. Is it open? Just to check.
Thank you. So, good morning, everybody. We are very pleased to be here in Bucharest after a long journey. So, I'm going to introduce la Friche la Belle-de-Mai in a short presentation. Maybe as an ID card of la Friche la Belle-de-Mai to have some repair, and with a key information, and maybe we can have a discussion just after if you have some question, because maybe I'm going to go quick on different aspects. And this yes. Ah, no, sorry. So it's the previous is the previous is sorry. Okay. And you can have an overview of la Friche la Belle-de-Mai. It's very interesting to start with this drawing, because you can have an approach of what is this place, and use this place that located in the district of la Belle-de-Mai, a very popular district, one of the poorest, European poorest, that we say, with a lot of problem of unemployment, housing, security. Next, please. And maybe we can keep and catch the fact that it's a story of long reconversion that starts 13 years ago. Because the place was an ancient tobacco factory, divided in 3 lots, one of the most important industrial heritage of Marseille. The activities, industrial activity declined at the end of the 80s, And by the will of the deputy mayor for culture, he keep the place and invite some artists and cultural producer and cultural organization to drive some experimentation in a new place to make art and with new space, new time, new direction to produce art, and a new relationship also with audiences and with inhabitants of the district. And the baseline of the project is a cultural project for an urban project, because the idea from the beginning that was described by the founders and Jean Nouvel, the famous architect, that was the chairman of the association of La Friche la Belle-de-Mai. They was thinking that culture, art can transform society, transform a territory, and can transform also the district and sorry, and maybe I can mention and you can notice that this experience start at the beginning of the 80s, and during 20 years we work maybe as a temporary space, but for long duration, 20 years, because we haven't any agreement with the local authorities, and we drive experiences in a kind of precarity with no rebuild of the space. And there were, I can mention that the Marseille European Capital for Culture in 2013 was a real booster to transform the space with a great visibility of the space. And this is the second part of the life of La Friche just after this event. So to maybe have some key information about what happened in La Friche with different uses. For example, public spaces, playground, shared garden, performing exhibition hall, concert hall, workshop room, for different activities. Most of them are artistic and cultural activity, but also social and educative activity. It's a place to work, maybe as the Nod Makerspace, sorry, with an ecosystem of 70 permanent organizations based on La Friche for a long time. They have their own offices or art studio or anything dedicated to their activity. So we count each year 500,000 visitors and users. We organize also with the residents 600 events. And we count also 400 and nearly 500 workers on the site, and you can have an idea of the scale of the place. And next, please. And maybe we can discuss just after, but just few words about our model, governance model. The Friche la Belle-de-Mai, La Friche la Belle-de-Mai is running and driving by a cooperative society for collective interest, French legal form, original French legal form, that fostering involvement of different shareholders and for example, users, inhabitants, local public authorities, and also organization, permanent resident organization, and also workers of the space. And today that counts 100 shareholders, split in 10 category of shareholders. And it's a real it's a key for the integration of the project in the territory, in the district. And
that is a very important part for us.
But maybe after, when we talk about the economic model,
you talk again about
give
this.
more detail about this. It's important for model economic because we signed a long duration agreement with the city in 2011, so maybe 20 years after the first experimentation in the space, for long duration, 45 years. That's hello and fostering to develop a project with a long perspective. We have to think the future of the place. It's a huge responsibility for us, and this emphatic administrative lease in English. Maybe we can explain it later. What is the based? It's a long duration agreement. Yes.
100? Between 50 and 100 years. Between 50 and 100, yeah. Yeah, so that is long term for them. Yeah. Okay. 20 years is short term.
Until 2050, the end of the contract is 2066, 56.
Yeah.
Yes. We have enough time to develop some more projects. And we signed also with the local authority CIEG agreement, service for economic service for general interest. So the local activities support the project and fund the project with annual grant to develop activity with beneficiary in perspective of service, public service obligation, and it's the base of our model economic, because the grant of the local authority counts today nearly 55% and 60%, but that changed. Now it's 55% of the income of La Friche. Maybe we few idea about the budget. We realized 40 million euros of investment, and because we have the cooperative society have the mission to rebuild the place, so we are a builder. We realize the work, and the annual budget the cooperative society is 10 million euro, and if you add the budget of the different organizations hosted in the place, it counts to 20 million euro. 22 million euro. Oh, this is the presentation.
This is too complex.
Of our organization with the different departments to lead the project and to lead the place. And maybe it's a topic issue also about the skills to run a third place and shared governance. And maybe we talk about it later. And we count 76 full-time equivalent employees at the cooperative society, split in different fields and different sectors. cultural development, communication marketing, link with companies, also maintenance, security, facilities, services, and hospitalities and welcoming for the audience. We count 50% of in the gender, so it's it may be detail. And we have also 3 main subcontracting for security and cleaning and maintenance that counts 35 full-time equivalent employees. That add with the 76. Okay, next, and our challenge for the futures. So facilitating cooperation dynamics and links with proximity territory, strengthening local roots and adapting to different uses, and ecological issue is very important for us also because we are an industrial site, big block of concrete, yeah. You know. And also for the model economic, diversifying our resources in link with the companies, for example, private funding.
Yeah, so just one idea. So their tendency now is to diversify because the state diminishes in fact the contribution, and they need to become more independent in these days. That's
this is
a huge issue.
This is the same amount since 10 years. So the cost increases each year, so
and
we have to find.
I would emphasize also the ecological challenge because it's huge. You feel it a lot. Everything is concrete, so you have a few hectares of concrete site, and then in Marseille, during summer, you have 50 degrees on the ground. It's crazy in terms of temperature. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see in the pictures. Yeah. It's just very.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the fun part.
Yeah. 8,000 square meters of rooftop. 8,000. And you have a point of view on the sea if you if you go on the left. This is a bookshop. This is the children. Yes.
To come and use them. The rooftop itself is not a place that it's accessible for free. It used to be. I grew up in Marseille, and I used to come to the rooftop to party with my friends. And because La Friche is evolving, and as we explained, the economic model is evolving as well, now there is a small contribution for certain people to come on the rooftop, and it's specified to certain areas for security, safety, maintenance, all those things, which questions us on the accessibility of those spaces in our cities. And we want to make things more accessible, more open, more free for everybody, but at what cost also for us as an organization. So there is a mix between spaces that are available at all times for publics to use for free, and we count on everybody's diligence on keeping them safe and keeping them clean and making sure everybody can use them, while at the same time maintaining something that we can continue offering those spaces for free. I think it's quite important to still have some spaces that are free, accessible, without paying a small contribution.
Yes, the baseline on our communication is open every day,
every
year
day,
long.
all year long.
Yes, but it's it's very expensive to to have that goal. And so many pictures in performing room, the main hall for performance and different activities. So
it's a space for all living beings.
Yeah. You can spend a lot of time at La Friche. So some different mood of La Friche, but we will very pleased to host you, and if you have the opportunities. Maybe.
Okay, so then I will stop you now, and maybe we could go on further to the presentation of the best practice guide. Let's wait for the. So Elizabeth, in fact, it's on you to tell us a few words about the methodology that we use, right?
Yes, indeed. So as Joanne shared earlier, we are a space that has now about 30 years of experience, which is, I think, something to capitalize on and to share with other spaces that are either in development or like Nod that have 10 years of experience, but in very different contexts. And this is why also EU cooperation is very important, I think, in what we do at that scale. So why we chose to do that project to begin with, I think is quite important, is as we shared to share our experiences, our research. This project is at the crossing of research and also just capitalizing on what we know and figuring out also what we need to continue digging for. And so the methodology that we employed in this is quite simple but not easy, in the sense that first we did kind of a state of the art, both in Romania and in France. We had a questionnaire, a form to fill in that we sent to so many different places, which questioned us also on what we mean by third place. What is a third place? What does it mean? What can we find in them? What are their challenges? There is no specific definition so far. The one that found that fits the most is the space that is in between home and work. So it's the third space. And I found that as a very interesting one. But yeah, our methodology became with a progressive approach. We went gradually, first by a state of the art, asking all those questions, raising awareness on those challenges, asking people directly, but in your space, what are the challenges? A lot of times we focus on the success stories that we go through as spaces, and we try and highlight the best practices or anything that we can recommend. But there is some sort of solidarity and some grace in figuring out, okay, this is something that didn't work, and this is how we grew from it, and how we changed things from that. So we tried really to do a state-of-the-art, very honest one. That was the first step. And then from that state-of-the-art, it allowed us both at Nod and in France, in La Friche, to design thematic workshops based on the challenges that arose from those questionnaires. So we worked with one person in particular that is really specified in facilitating those kinds of workshops, because we have the knowledge of the space, but we don't necessarily have the knowledge on how to share that or how to make other people contribute to that and how to dig deeper. So it was quite important to find the right people to work with on that side. And to align on our vision of what we expected from the workshops. We live clearly in two very different contexts, so it's also interesting in terms of cooperation to take back from our context, but also find the common points and similarities and what's the added value in this work together. So fast forward to that, we do one first thematic workshop, and actually it was at the time where the municipality came to do the study trip. And it was a very important moment for us, because I think that's when personally I realized really the similarities and the differences between our contexts and how we were going to shape our collaboration on this toolkit and on this sharing of knowledge. So it was really important to take the time to assess things and to talk together and to understand each other's context and realities and points of blocking also. For us in France, we're a very social state, for example. We don't have the same history as here in Romania. And so there are things that are to be taken in consideration when we say certain words or when we mention certain concepts that don't resonate in the same way. So yeah, we tried to do that, and then we did those workshops. Those workshops helped us really figure out what is it that the spaces that contributed to those workshops need. Basically, it was workshops where so many third spaces from Marseille came and joined us, and it was really a moment for us to do a state-of-the-art of, okay, this is what's okay for them, but this is what we need to work on, what's expected from us in this toolkit and in this project and as cultural spaces and cultural hubs in Europe. And then through that, slowly, we co-designed the toolkit, and we did the back and forth of our methodology. And it's a really simple methodology again, but not easy in the sense that it took some time. It needed a step back from our practices also. and to theorize a little bit what we do on the daily, basically, without making it too academic either. So it was also a challenge for us to make this work accessible for most people, to not make it a research. It's not. I'm not doing a doctorate thesis here. However, there is a limit to find between research and how we share, what we share, how we make it accessible, and all of that. So our methodology was to really constantly assess what we're doing and question our own work and see if it fits and makes sense.
Can I add just one?
Yes, please.
Yes. Just to add two, three instruments that we use, of course, but most of you know this kind of instruments, such as stakeholder matrices. We mapped all the stakeholders that need to be invited to this kind of meetings. We mapped the skills found among Creative Hub workers and managers, which is very, very useful because you understand more about the profile of the people who can do this, in fact. Okay, and then we had this shared governance charter. We designed protocols for educational or participatory projects, and that you will find in the guide anyway. Yeah, so just I wanted to specify. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And that one, and one thing you mentioned earlier, I think the skills was definitely a crucial part in our methodology to really take a step back and figure, okay, these people are managers, directors, and everything, but concretely, what is it that they need to make those spaces alive? And once we have that, I love the name, but the dreams and nightmares of governance were really a key point of view. As we said earlier, we focus a lot on the success stories. What are the nightmares that we may occur at some point, and how to maybe prevent that from happening or to be skilled so that if it happens one day, we have this safe space that we shared all those tools and concepts and methodologies together.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Then we can go further now. Do you want to add something, Johan? No? We can go further to the first chapter, urban transformation and co-production. I will just highlight some of the conclusions. So it's mandatory that the adaptation of spaces consider the needs of the area, absolutely, listening to local stakeholders, analyzing activity cycles in the area, and also take into account socioeconomic diversity and the challenges of inclusion for residents and neighboring communities. I wanted to mention from your presentation that there are a few neighbors that are part of the governance of La Friche. That's very interesting because neighbors have different interests than the employees of La Friche, than the residents, and so on. So each type of stakeholder has some other interest in this. Okay. Maybe go to the next, and I will emphasize very fast. So some key success factor, for example, very important is to develop a common narrative that unites stakeholders around a shared vision. We saw this also in Nod Makerspace happening. So when you develop such a vision, people start to contribute to it or align with it, and so you can do this, develop further. An ongoing dialogue with local authorities, absolutely mandatory. Of course, in La Friche, they were also founders, yeah. And then, we highlight it all over the place. The success of these projects depends on the creation of a solid partnership between public and private stakeholders and citizens, because you need to enable the pooling of expertise and ensure the legitimacy of actions. The involvement of artists and residents from the early stages of the project. So ideally, all stakeholders need to be present during all phases of co-creation, co-production, and also operation, if the case, yeah. And I will just mention just one point to monitor and a risk that we identified, because this happens a lot, for example, in Romania, when you have a top-down development, urban development of such a place, you create, in fact, a static place that is disconnected from the social environment, and thus it won't have a life in it. So you need to avoid this, and you can avoid this by having also the bottom-up approach and involving all the stakeholders from the first stages of the development.
It really kind of touches a bit on almost the values and impacts that you want to have as a space. Physically, a space literally takes some space in the city, There are cities where we need more spaces available for people, or we need more spaces available for creative communities, etc. Once we have the opportunity to use a space, it's really important and key to understand what are the different uses of the space, the different needs, and what kind of impact do we want to bring in the city, not just in the neighborhood, but in the city overall with those spaces. And I think it's really that the idea of changing the paradigm between top to bottom rather than bottom up is really interesting on that part. It takes more time, and it's not the easiest either, but it really touched on this question of impact and values that we want to bring in our cities and in our spaces of creativity and production.
Thanks. And now here we have, I will just talk 2 minutes about this example, about le couvent Leva. Deci un fost convent, am înțeles că în română zicem convent de călugărițe, așa, care a fost, deci a fost deci Congregation of the Sacred Sisters, victim of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Okay, yeah. So it was after they left. It was purchased by the city of Marseille in 2017, and the city of Marseille chose to work with this association Juxtapose. That was an expert in developing an artist community, in fact. So they worked together, and they managed to transform this place into a place of creation, encounters, and cultural dissemination, where, I don't know, residents, artists, visitors, and different types of users enjoy the time there or work. And now they have a different type of challenge. In fact, they now have this challenge to find out how to guarantee the future of the structures and the artists based at the Couvent. And the second challenge that they have is how to preserve and enhance the garden as a public space, in fact, as a neighborhood's green lung, while, of course, maintaining broad access for residents. So now they're working, they have a site committee, that's very interesting, that is composed of the city of Marseille, of Juxtapose, this association that manages the site, Hydre, which is the entity that manages the garden for the moment, and the neighborhood residents and collectives and civic initiatives, And they work now to find solutions for these two challenges. That's a great example.
They're almost confronting a bit the municipality about the uses of the space, and after 10 years maybe of the convent. It's been 10 years?
Just after the European...
Right, okay, so almost 15 years of use. They're confronting almost the municipality, and it's an interesting approach, again, this bottom-up, where it's the people who use the space and the artists, but also the neighbors and everything that are making this dialogue with the municipality of like, no, we need those spaces, we need to keep them and maintain them, both for the green area and what it represents in the city, but also for the social impact it represents in the neighborhood. So that's a good example, I think, to show on that part.
Nice, and you can read more details in the guide. I would go to the following chapter, which is the financial sustainability and business models, and I will let which one of you? Do you want to tell? Yeah, of course. Sorry, you have also the example of Nod Makerspace, but you know our story. Faber from Timișoara, a similar story, and then we get to financial sustainability and business models.
Just some context before we dig deeper into La Friche, but I think in a very naive way, but money is always often the core, or one of the issues also to deal with is we need to either get funds to make things happen, or find funds, or reimburse things. So money is a real issue there, something to solve and to really take in consideration at every stage of the project, and to reassess constantly. Usually the economic model is not set in time, it needs to adapt a lot, and that's something we all figure in our jobs, in our daily activities. It's never something completely finished and like a statue. It is constantly moving and adapting to new needs, new grants, new funds, new bureaucracy, new ways of doing things. And so for us, I think our main asset as like the cooperative society is the longevity of our cooperative and how we've managed to adapt this economic model to the different needs and the different activities that we propose in the space.
I would say that for us, for example, in these 10 years of ups and downs from a financial point of view, we can say that we are very agile. Yeah.
Skill, agility. Can we put back the...
Yeah.
Do you want to highlight some...
Yes, but maybe it's important to precise that the economic model of La Friche is a little bit specific in the city and is in link with the public policy for culture, French public policy for culture. So when we made some projects, it's difficult to think about replicability of the model. So maybe the presentation is we have to mention is maybe just a singular project. Yeah. So this is why the main resources are made up by public funds, by local authority. Maybe we can. City of Marseille, Ministry for Cultures, region and department. So they bring each year almost 5 million of euro to run the place and to run the activities in different fields. And we have the contract, I mentioned it before, contract with key KPI and key performance in different aspects, social aspect, insertion, for example, or also training or social mediation and artistic production. So we have a list of different objectives and different obligations also to receive this money. But it's not enough because I mentioned it, the place is very huge, 45,000 square meters, yes. And we have a lot of responsibilities, cleaning, maintenance, rebuild, and electricity, energy, yes. And so it's the necessity to find a model with an hybridization of incomes is a point of the contract agreement with the city and the region. So we develop a model based on the fact that we have the right of owner with the contract, so we can rent the space for events, for example, seminary for companies, and to develop some new services and new incomes. And this is our main resources, the place. Finally, we can make all we want in this place, so we have to find. It's not so simple because we have to keep also keep an eye on the fact that we have to realize services for general interest. That sometimes inside the governance there's some struggle on conflict between the different stakeholders because we have to find more money, but we have to keep the spirit and the mood of the space open for everybody. So it's a challenge for our governance to develop this new model and diversification. Yeah. And one part of our incomes are based on different funds. For example, ticketing for events. So we develop a strategy of marketing to find new audiences, to offer new services with marketing finances. And also we are involved in different projects, and we in the European context, for example, or national context, and with calls for project, and it counts maybe 20% of our incomes in different topics about our experiences. For example, about governance, ecological transition, ecological redirection. And we catch also some grants from foundation, for example, Fondation de France, for new experimentation. It's interesting to mention it, a project to develop local cooperation outside La Friche, with La Friche and the organization based or collective of inhabitants based in the district. So we have created a function in La Friche that calls a colleague in charge of territory proximity cooperation. He organized some seminary of all the actors in the district, and they shared what the needs. They make the territorial diagnostic to but they make a diagnostic about the needs of the districts. And for example, there's some needs that emerging about cooking, and with it's a issue that bring by a collective of women collective in the district. So we are going to try to support this initiative about cooking at La Friche, and with this animation of the cooperation, we develop also a fund that with own governance, involving inhabitants, involving personalities of La Friche, and they decide to supporting some project, for example, about cooking, or for some I don't know, party for with the salle des fêtes party.
Like a communal celebration.
Yeah, yes, in Salle La Friche, and it allowed to think about new uses also in La Friche, dedicate a specific venue for activities and for initiative from the inhabitants, for examples, and this project is supporting by La Fondation de France, for example, and this is the experimentation is an engine to develop also new economic model for us with the application call. Okay. I don't know. It's clear. If it's clear,
let's see. I heard that there are some questions in the with that.
What is the monthly cost for administrative and logistic for La Friche every month, like excluding the special events or something extra?
It's half of our budget. Yes, more than half. Yes, more than half of budget. Yeah, yes. just for...
Yeah, I was wondering more specific, like for real, what money is needed for keeping things running on the basic level.
5 million of euros, for example. Yeah.
Per year. Okay.
And so we funded it by the grant, but not only, also with the participation of organization. They don't pay rent to be at La Friche. They pay participation for the cost, a part of energy consumption, for example, a part of cost for maintenance or security, and we fix it with the price or the participation is fixed, is based on the square meters. Yes, we divide all the costs for running the place by the square meters that you use. And for example, currently the amount of square meters is per year is 90 euros per square meters. Yes, okay. When we divide, yeah. And but the uses of some space, for example, exhibition space, performance space, is free for the organization, the resident, or for another organization from the territory, and they didn't pay for the. And these venues and the spaces are shared with all the users, and they didn't pay to use it.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I would grab some conclusions from this part, and I would emphasize first of all that diversity of income is a key factor in resilience. So you need to find all the means in types of revenue, such as ticketing, space rental, events, sponsorship, public-private funding. So this is what we mapped. In fact, you will find more details in the guide.
And I think I talked about this last week actually at a network event, but COVID is something that we don't really talk about much, but it really took a toll on our organizations, and it was one time, for example, where La Friche was closed, which doesn't happen very often for La Friche to be closed. And so the diversification of our financial model was also really a key to survive during those moments, because if we had only counted on, I don't know, tickets, sales or something like that, we would have crashed during that time. So I think, yeah, moments like that where it's like a health matter has also impacts on the workers, on the space, on everything. And through this, it was also, I think, a way to show that the need is crucial at that point to have different streams of income and whatnot. Yes. It may happen again.
And you can diversify it step by step. You don't have it all from the beginning. And then the second idea that I wanted to emphasize is this ability to reconcile the financial robustness with social accessibility, because this is a hard stuff to do, so you need to be robust from a financial point of view, but also to keep all the principles for a common space, shared space and so on, accessible to everybody. Yeah, if you feel the need to add something here. If not, this idea also that financial resources must be transparent, ethical, and aligned with the public interest of the project. This is another very important thing. If you feel the need to add something.
Yeah, it's a huge word to explain it to
yeah.
to the shareholder. Explain the strategy, economic strategy, for example, because some inhabitants have difficulties to understand
financial literacy.
Yes,
yeah.
And they express only what they need, and they didn't understand why we are rent the place, for example, for a big company, for a showcase or showroom of for the cars, for example, and sometimes it's against their value of the Friche they think about. So we have to explain if we want to preserve accessibility of the site, we have to make this business, this new business. So, but we have to be transparent, as you say, to explain. It's a huge work. It took
you
a long.
need a lot of communication skills.
Yeah.
In fact, this is what is mapped in the skills matrix. Yeah.
And also, I think sometimes we don't measure how people view us from the outside, like the impact that we have on the city or something like that. Like before working at La Friche, I thought it was a big space for exhibitions and partying and all of that, and I had little knowledge about what's happening behind the scenes or how to maintain that space and everything, and all the people that are working there. So I think there is we are physically a huge space, like a huge old factory in the center of Marseille. So I think this question of space, availability, what we do with it in an area that knows a lot of social struggles can sometimes be a bit different from the expectations that people have from the space versus what we're trying to develop there.
And also they think all could be free at La Friche because we received some public grant. So they think why we have to pay. So it's very complicated to share this overview, economic overview, with all the shareholders because there are a lot of representation of ideas, as mentioned Elisabeth.
And then I will go further to the next. So we have another example in our guide, which is in fact an imaginary example for Berzei 21. We called it a prototype for a cultural center of almost the same size as La Friche, maybe it's a bit smaller. So it has a bit the complexity of La Friche, and you can see. So you can see the dimension of the space. We had a few years ago envisioned a vision for it, and we presented to different stakeholders, and we have a lot of supporting organizations that back us up for this transformation. But what was important to obtain from this project was a phasing to understand the complexity of such a huge development made in a participatory way. So there are, of course, three phases. There is the preparation phase that should, and we mapped that here we would need a public and flexible funding for the preparation phase. So in fact, we will listen to the animation right up. Then you have the investment phase, and then you have the operational phase. And so Berzei 21 can offer a real-life testbed for building a scalable model of cultural regeneration based on public assets. That's a thing to emphasize, and based on inclusive governance and layered financing. I would say that we should go further to the animation. Maria. Do you want to add something at this in this part of the presentation? No. Huh?
No, but I think we should go to the participatory governance models and have the animation in the end.
I don't know if you want. You can mention it. Yeah. Okay, so. Okay, just so until you find it, just a few key principles from the chapter with participatory governance models. I would emphasize that governance is a living and inclusive process with clearly shared role and responsibilities. And the challenge is to ensure equal voices, of course, regardless of the status, employees, members, volunteers, artists, residents, and so on. So it's a big complexity. And also governance, another conclusion is that governance is a learning community that evolves, in fact, questions itself and adjusts its practices. Yeah, this is a given. Okay, let's, we should turn off the mics for this.
Transformare urbană și coproducție. Primul pas este să înțelegem contextul. Orașului, nevoile cartierului, modul în care centrul creativ se conectează la restul orașului și ce resurse sau actori locali pot fi implicați. Implică toți actorii încă de la început. Începe la scară mică și învață repede. Construiește parteneriate solide. Planifică împreună cu comunitatea locală. Măsoară impactul împreună cu comunitatea. Modelul economic. Să reținem cele 3 etape cheie: faza de pregătire, cercetări de teren, studii preliminare tip fezabilitate, identificarea surselor de finanțare, proiectare. Faza de investiție, însemnând transformarea fizică a spațiilor cu fonduri publice și private. Faza de operare, în care aducem spațiul la viață, găzduim publicul și diversificăm activitățile. Diversificarea resurselor financiare plus model adaptabil egal model economic sustenabil. Iar când vorbim de bani, ce căutăm de fapt? Un spațiu terț sau spațiu comunitar hibrid are multiple activități, ceea ce deschide oportunități de finanțare din sectoare diverse: industrii cultural-creative, dezvoltare economică locală, incluziune socială, obiective de mediu, educație și învățare pe tot parcursul vieții. Testarea modelelor prin acțiuni pilot. Proiectele de mică amploare permit testarea modelelor spațiale, financiare și de guvernanță, precum și a instrumentelor de măsurare a impactului social, cultural și economic. Astfel, modelul poate fi îmbunătățit înainte de extindere sau scalare. Cum și cu cine evităm duplicarea eforturilor? Utilizează infrastructura publică existentă. Identifică cine poate face ce în comunitate. Caută parteneri potențiali, inclusiv investitori. Aceste etape ajută la prototiparea proiectului, transformându-l într-un model evolutiv și replicabil. Pasul 3. Nu în ultimul rând, cum gestionăm aceste spații? Printr-un model de guvernanță funcțional, inclusiv și transparent de luarea deciziilor. Definește scopul și aliniază la strategie. Nu există o singură soluție. Diferite modele administrative pot fi valide. Acceptă că procesul poate dura. Folosește indicatori calitativi și cantitativi, precum diversitatea evenimentelor, a publicurilor și a actorilor implicați în luarea deciziilor.
Yay! Congratulations! Well, merci. Merci mult. Mulțumesc. Yeah. So I think it's a good end of the first part, and I invite you after the coffee break to gather in a round in a circle and to talk about these two themes. So we will have the question: what insight or idea about cultural hubs resonated most with you during this project? Because most of you were with us during this project. And the second one, if you would create a new cultural hub, some of you will do this, yes, from scratch. What challenge would you address, and where would you start? This can.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. I would just like to add that most of the conclusions that we have in the guides and in the video that you've seen are actually the results of a lot of workshops we did with some of you. And what I found amazing about this project is that we had a lot of people involved. So probably only in Bucharest, I think we had more than 80 experts and people coming from the civil society, but also from the city hall and from the public administration, which was an amazing feedback for us. And most of the results we're having are basically the outcomes of these discussions. So in the second part of the event, we would like to sort of reopen the floor on more of a, let's say, personal perspective, because what happened, and we've discussed a lot about that in this team, also with our partners from France, is that when talking about these topics, which are quite complex, is that you usually tend to sort of focus a lot on something. For instance, for me, it was a lot about how do we define this public interest, because we talk a lot about public interest, but then public interest can mean a lot of things for a lot of people. So I think what would be nice is to open the floor to let you present yourselves and your opinions and your feedback regarding our project. Also to open up a little bit about the discussion about possible next steps, because we would really like to build a community of practice around this topic. And also to have your very personal sort of opinion and thoughts and things that sort of don't let you sleep at night. Okay, hopefully they let you sleep at night. But and we'll talk about all of this after a really short, I think it's a 15 minutes break in the most informal way possible. Thank you.